What's up, guys? Welcome to the Outer Nexus. Tonight, we will be talking about UAP swarming military bases. They're doing it a lot lately, apparently. And maybe even the FBI knew about it. In fact, they probably did. We're going to check that out. But first, let's check out what China discovered in their space station. Unknown species of bacteria discovered in China's space station. Swabs from China's Tiangong space station reveal traces of a bacterium unseen on Earth with characteristics that may help it function under stressful environmental conditions hundreds of kilometers above the planet's surface. Naming their discovery after the station, researchers from the Shenzhou Space Biotechnology Group and the Beijing Institute of Spacecraft System Engineering say the study of Nialia, I'm going to try this, Nialia tiangonggensis and similar species could be essential in protecting astronaut health and spacecraft functionality over long missions. The swabs were taken from a cabin on board the space station in May 2023 by the Shenzhou 15 crew as part of a one of two surveys by the China Space Station Habitation Area Microbiome Program. Follow-up studies have traced the growth of microbes that inhabit the space station environment, revealing a microbiome that differs in both composition and function from the one found in the International Space Station. The new species appears to be a close cousin to the known strain called Nialia circulans, a rod-shaped soil-dwelling bacterium that just a few years ago was reallocated to a new genus classification, having previously been regarded as a pathogenic form of bacillus. Like the species Bacillus and circulans and its spacefaring relatives pack their essential chemistry into hardy spores to survive times of great stress. It's not clear whether N. tiangonggensis evolved on the station or arrived in spore form with at least a few of its distinguishing features in place. According to the recently published analysis on its genes and functions, the new species has a unique ability to break down gelatin as a source of nitrogen and carbon, a knack that comes in handy when it needs to construct a protective coat of biofilm to bunker beneath when conditions get a little rough. On the other hand, it seems to have lost the ability to utilize other energy-packed substances its cousins happily chowed down on. Let's see. It goes on with that.
So basically, this one here causes sepsis.
Okay.
So does its earth-faring relative.
Yeah.
That is what they cause. But what they're talking about is what happens when something on Earth adapts to space.
But my real question for you, Billy,
Yeah.
was, is this aliens?
No, this one
This is not aliens. Okay, so this is not aliens. Explain to us what this is, Billy.
This is adaptation.
Okay.
So
basically, what is it adapted from?
So basically, it adapted from its normal Earth biome to the space biome.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that, like it was said, right there,
Mm-hmm.
is it lost its ability to eat certain things,
Mm-hmm.
but gained the ability to eat mucus, which helps it actually create a film, which it's actually going to use to survive,
Mm-hmm.
like it said, when things get rough,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very common thing that bacteria do.
Mm.
But one of the things is that's a little, they want to study it because they're like, if this can adapt to space,
Mm-hmm.
what can we learn about adapting
Mm-hmm.
our bodies to space?
Yeah.
And it's a bit hard to go on with that. Like,
Yeah.
you can't, it's not one-to-one,
You can't
obviously.
extrapolate it. Yeah.
You can extrapolate it, it's just not one-to-one.
Right.
But one of the scarier things kind of to think about, though, is, like I said, these cause sepsis.
Yeah.
This thing is out in space. It may not look the same back, when you actually get down. And looks have a lot to deal with, like when you get to the micro level of how they interact with things at the microbial level, because they attach on to certain things.
And that might be worthy for its own entire episode. But the
Yes.
fact is, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's sensational, but it's not aliens.
Not aliens.
Not aliens. So, not interesting for this episode. Now, the main point of this episode is this article by Vice. This just came out. They just released this today, as a matter of fact. UFOs are swarming U.S. military zones, and one just crashed into a fighter jet. And we'll get into maybe how the FBI was monitoring this stuff. So an unidentified flying object literally crashed into a U.S. fighter jet during a training mission over Arizona, and it seems our real lives are getting closer to an X-Files plot than we'd probably like. It's real, and it's just one of the dozens of increasingly bizarre mid-air occurrences that military pilots have been reporting over restricted airspace in the Southwest. The collision happened in January when an F-16 Viper jet struck what officials later described as an orange-white uncrewed aerial system, or UAS. The FAA confirmed the object hit the plane's canopy mid-flight. That's the transparent bubble that protects the pilot's face. No word yet on how damaged it was, but if it sounds wild, just know this. It was one of 4 separate drone encounters reported that day. UFOs are everywhere. What's going on? Since 2020, military pilots flying training routes over Arizona have reported dozens of encounters with strange objects. Some were logged as drones, others defy easy explanation. Metallic spheres moving in groups, 8 silver UAS flying in tight formation at 20,000 feet, and one suspiciously fast object tearing through the sky at Mach 0.75, or about 500 miles an hour at 33,000 feet. For context, your average off-the-shelf drone barely clears 500 feet and maxes out at around 500 knots, or about 45 knots. On March 25th, 2021, 2 F-35 pilots near Casa Grande described a large white UAS hovering motionless at 24,000 feet, something that they said resembled either a small plane or a really big drone. Another F-35 crew spotted a glowing green object while cruising at 36,000 feet. At that altitude, you're usually sharing airspace with commercial jets, not UFOs. These reports are coming in constantly. Former Pentagon UAP investigator Luis Elizondo told News Nation, pointing to the Arizona-Mexico border as a repeat offender. Some officials suspect advanced cartel surveillance drones. Others think it's something more mysterious. Either way, the technology doesn't match what's publicly known. Maybe they've got tech we're not used to seeing in the drone space, former CBP official Ron Vitalio. He cited cartel money and its tendency to innovate fast, to keep selling their poison. From May 2023 to June 2024, the U.S. government logged 757 sightings of unidentified aerial phenomenon. Just 49 have been marked case closed, with more objects appearing in restricted airspace, and now one confirmed to have struck a fighter jet. The question is no longer if something is out there, but who's behind it and how close are these encounters going to get? So that can just lead directly into this story, and I'll just pull up some video here. Apparently, what's this guy's name? Bob Thompson, who spent 14 years with U.S. Customs, Border and Protection, did an interview on News Nation about how Border Patrol agents are encountering UAP. They're calling them drones. A lot of the times they try to attribute them to cartel activity, but some of these objects are highly anomalous. They don't know what they are. Here, I'll play one of these. This is a really good one. I'll just play this. Hold on. This is the cigar that they caught.
All right.
Okay, so that's the object you're talking about. It's like a stubby little cylinder.
That's correct.
I can see why they call it a cigar. It's very blurry.
It is blurry, and I felt that it just didn't provide enough data. I showed Andy it, but we didn't feel like it warranted.
But it does seem to be moving incredibly fast.
It does seem to be moving fast, and that could be due to the parallax effect as well.
But do you agree that there's some kind of trail behind it?
There does appear to be a trail behind it, but I can't tell. It's such a low quality video that it could very well be camera artifact.
Oh, right. Okay. So it could be
pixelization.
It's not something that was actually there.
Okay. And then, so that's that first one. And then let's see what the next one is. The rubber duck. Here we go.
Coalition for UAP studies for analysis. And they concluded definitively this object is anomalous. Let's have a look at it. That is the weirdest thing.
It does have an odd shape.
Could it be a balloon? Maybe something dangling below the balloon?
No, I think you would probably see that in the video here. There's clearly enough room that, you know, if there was something dangling, it'd probably be a good 100-foot long, you know, cord if it was, you know, something above it. But to be honest, this shows, especially in the areas that are dark, that these may even be two separate objects.
The weird thing about it is it really does look like a rubber duck.
It does look like a rubber duck. And that's where the name came from.
Could it be two objects?
Well, there's been speculation that it could be two objects, and you can see a space clearly between the objects when you go over a dark spot of the video. And the other thing about it is it's a lot colder than the surrounding areas as well.
So what does the color of the object in this FLIR imagery mean?
It shows that object is extremely cold.
So it's not showing
It's not showing heat. And we know that because the plane flies over several cows during the course of the video, and those cows will show up as black hot.
Just set the scene for me. Whereabouts is this taken?
Okay. So there's that one, and then I think there's one more, the A10. We'll pick this one out. Let's see what this one.
On this freeze of the video, there's a distinct dot out in the bottom left-hand corner. So let's watch what happens to that dot.
Oh, there it is.
So the dot's clearly moving around the aircraft.
It seemed at first the A10 passed that object, and then that object, for whatever reason, decided to catch up to the A10, it appears.
Could that be a balloon?
There's no balloons that I know that can travel the speed of an A10.
How fast is the A10 moving?
I'm not an expert on A10, but I would assume it's upwards in the couple hundred mile per hour range.
And could it be a drone?
If a drone can travel a couple 100 miles per hour, that's something that someone should probably be interested in.
Okay, so what we're seeing here is it looks like a sphere of some kind. I don't see any propulsion system on it. Do you?
No, I do not.
And yet it's moving at presumably several hundred miles an hour to keep pace with the A10.
Well, and then in addition to that, it appears the A10 notices it and kind of turns off.
Did you have any opportunity to speak to the pilot?
All right. So those are the videos, and allegedly he has gotten personal testimony from over 100 other Border Patrol agents about this kind of anomalous activity on the border. I'm going to read this article just a little bit, some highlights here, and then we'll go over it. Bob Thompson spent 14 years. Hold on. Yeah, over 100 Border Patrol agents. While coordinating the airspaces along the southern border, Thompson added that he's also seen all sorts of different UFO designs invading U.S. territory. We've seen orbs that were off in the distance. I've seen crafts that were cigar-shaped. I've seen triangles. Although many of these accounts are being dismissed as drones likely flown by drug cartels trying to sneak into the U.S., Thompson claimed that there's more going on than just illegal immigration and drug trafficking. No one really likes to talk about it freely. I think it's still just a taboo subject, Thompson said. The never-before-seen video was just taken months after another UFO sighting involving a strange craft that had the shape of a rubber duck. Let me see. Despite the Office of the Director of National Intelligence mandating that incidents like this be collected and investigated, Coulthard noted that there's been a deafening silence about recent UFO cases. So what is your takeaway on this kind of stuff? What do you think here?
As someone on the other side.
As someone on the other side who doesn't even bother looking into any of this, what's your opinion on this kind of stuff when you have these kind of professionals coming out? And we'll get into the FBI story, but this kind of overwhelming deluge of UAP videos, them allegedly swarming military bases. Apparently there's new info on the Jersey drone scare. That's also something we could cover. What do you think about all this?
So, I mean, there were two things, and they were actually both mentioned, and that's where my opinion comes from as well. And the one thing I think that we should do, and it's exactly what he said, is we need to absolutely collect this kind of data. There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
It's why not?
Yeah.
Even if you didn't agree with it, I do not. It's like, it's still data.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And the interesting thing about that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the interesting thing about that particular thing is he actually elaborates in the interview where he's seen these objects with other people. It's either he's with other people or he's been told this, where they see the object and then nobody addresses it and nobody says anything. Everybody acts like it just didn't fucking happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're actually if this is not bullshit and you're actually seeing these objects over these sort of secure airspaces, somebody should know.
Yeah.
You should be telling somebody this.
At least on the basis again of data, like, it happened. At least we know it happened.
Yeah.
So yes, I do agree with that. And then the other portion of that is, we may not be able to learn anything right now, but I do think statistically, I mean, that some of these are not obvious, but I'm saying obviously going to be
Prosaic.
And cartel drones, whatever.
And cartel drones.
Yeah. They're going to be those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But they may not, they're probably not all that, and even statistically going in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to be UAPs that meet the definition of UAP.
Yeah.
So again, collect the data.
Yeah.
That's the best thing we can do.
And honestly, this subject in particular raises a lot of questions for me, because the border, this is like deep conspiracy territory. This is like reptilians controlling the planet kind of Epstein, that kind of
Hillary,
stuff. Yeah. Like, there have been stories that, and honestly, this might be like QAnon bullshit that I'm about to spew right here. That the border is used by aliens for trafficking, because the border in particular, that is the region where Roswell is in. It's not where it's, but it's the region, the biome. You know what I mean? Apparently, these entities like the desert. They like these remote regions. That area of the border is a very remote region, very, very remote region. And some people think that is what's happening down there, is that there is some sort of human trafficking with aliens down there, because that's where the Mexican zone of silence is nearby. So now, who knows if any of that stuff is actually real, but it's just it's an interesting thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way I think of some of those too, and I brought this up in another video, is if someday we get full disclosure, one of the things we can do, to say like, hey, this has been toyed around with for a long time. What about this? Is like, why don't we correlate, disappearances and abductions in this area with the now known data of like, there were this many, UFOs in that area. Yeah. And see like, oh yeah, some of those people probably abducted.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
we could do that in the future if we got the information.
Yeah, if we got the data. And generally those databases are being worked on, things like that. Move on. Let me continue this article. I got told that they witnessed a portal opening up in the sky, and there are pictures of it on the camera that I was able to see. The veteran CBP officer added that agents knew these weren't glowing orbs or some other type of UFO, and actually witnessed the portals as they were opening up in thin air. Thompson's claims are just the latest unexplained accounts coming out of Arizona, where FAA documents show several Air Force pilots have encountered swarms of UFOs in recent years.
I do want to stop you here because you're about to hit it.
Yeah.
On that F-16 Viper.
Yeah.
I do not like the fact though that they're crashing.
Yeah.
Like, that bothers me, because it's like any species that gets here from wherever they're from. Yeah. Shouldn't be crashing. Shouldn't be crashing.
So, and I want to address that right off the bat, is that yes, if that's what they were, if these were craft coming from another planet to here. But in my opinion, it's unlikely that those particular craft are crashing.
Yeah.
The craft that are crashing seem much more purpose built and much more built to spec. They're not the craft that are going through space, so to speak. They're not interdimensional craft that, I mean, they might be, that are crashing, but it seems like the craft that are crashing are kind of meant to crash in a way, sort of. Yeah. So on January 19th, 2023, an unidentified object actually struck an F-16 Viper fighter jet, damaging the canopy and forcing the $63 million aircraft to land. So far, the FAA hasn't found any inconclusive evidence that the object was extraterrestrial. And yet, that's what I'm trying to say, is that, you know, these things could literally be from here. You know,
Yeah.
these could be, this could be some species hiding out in the ocean, sending out their own versions of drones that we can bump out of the sky with an EMP. Even though it might be advanced technology, we could just kind of bump it out. So, okay, so there's that. And then we have this update. We'll get into this before we get to the FBI story. New release documents show that the feds knew about the New Jersey drone scare. Even after the Biden administration realized the most alarming claims were bunk, it didn't publicize the evidence it had.
Now, I'm going to again stop you.
Yeah.
Because I went ahead and read this one.
Okay.
And it's all in the title. The
Yeah.
title's a bit misleading.
Okay.
Newly released documents show what the feds knew about the New Jersey drone scare. And you're going to read this, please do, but they didn't know much. They did know about them, but not much more than we did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the gist of this
That's
article?
the gist of the whole article.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but either way, military intervention is large. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much in this article. But okay, so let's just get right into the meat of this. FBI wants Arrow's funding. Different people on the FBI's UAP team have actually seen objects. Representative Burleson reports. This is from Matt Laszlo. He was able to get from Burleson that yeah, here we go. Key Burleson. Yeah, and I think this is from Rep Burleson. I think that what we've learned from David Grush in our meeting with Arrow is that Arrow's focus on DOD and, you know, defense and those agencies and what can be reported to Congress. But a lot of this is at the White House level. There are programs that are not required to be reported to Congress. There's a very small team that can go out and research this. Some different people on the team have actually seen objects. Okay. Hold on. FBI wants bigger UAP roles. So that's a team on the FBI that they have a small team on the FBI that actually goes out and investigates UAP, and they want a bigger UAP role. They would like a little bit more direct authority, so they specifically requested that we make some tweaks to some language regarding giving them more authority over this topic. Burleson tells us of the FBI. Both Arrow and the FBI have not had any direct connection to any hard like material, bodies, anything like that. That's what Burleson says. Okay, so there's that. And this article from just a few months ago, when Trump was axing a bunch of organizations, they wrote an article about this, that there are FBI agents worried about losing their research on UFOs if Trump axes their department. The FBI quietly just revealed that it has a real-life UFO office. The truth is out there and under lock and key at the FBI. Amid the Pentagon's years-long probes into the unexplained and unidentified, the FBI has been quietly running its own secret office investigating so-called unidentified anomalous phenomenon. We know there was an entire TV series about it. Yes, let's get this out of the way. That's basically the plot of the 90s television show The X-Files, but buried in, we're going to have to watch that again, but buried in a new Politico story about concerns that UFO hunting agents may soon be caught up in a purge is a jarring revelation that such an office exists within the Bureau, the existence of which had not been disclosed publicly before, per the outlet's reporting. It was previously known that the Pentagon had a similar group known as the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. That office deals with UAP sightings from military officials. There doesn't appear to be any other known counterpart in the civilian branches of government. In a statement to Politico, the FBI confirmed the existence of the office but refused to comment further, including to say how many members it has or how long it has been investigating UAPs in an organized manner. The FBI investigates unidentified anomalous phenomena when there is a potential for a violation of federal law, particularly unlawful acts that could adversely affect our national interests, and to gather, share, and analyze intelligence to combat security threats facing the U.S., the Bureau told Politico. Former naval pilot and congressional UFO whistleblower Ryan Graves spoke at length to the magazine about the importance of the group's work and how deleterious it would be for the office to be gutted due to partisanship. I am concerned that the FBI's UAP working group could be affected by transition changes, Graves said, and that these leaders might not be aware of the incredible work that these agents are doing and how their investigation could be empowered as part of a formalized intergovernmental effort. Kaizen Best, a former Army Special Forces intelligence officer, told Politico that he'd spoken to members of the FBI's UAP office after witnessing an alleged UFO in Colorado. Although it's unclear exactly how many of those agents could be implicated in the alleged purge, Best said that it would be obviously detrimental if that happened. The FBI is one component of the government that is starting to realize what other functions in the government have already known for a long time and have been participating in. The ex-Army intelligence officer said. In English, he seems to be suggesting that the FBI's previously undisclosed UAP office has been working with Pentagon's Arrow and perhaps other agencies as well. With Trump swiftly unfolding plans to purge the government of anyone who doesn't fall in line, it's impossible to say whether the FBI's X-Files office will continue to exist. Though, given the president's promise to reveal the truth about unidentified objects in the sky, killing the group completely would seem to go completely against his commitment to take the U out of UAP. So it seems like the X-Files is real, Billy.
It's real. Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of there being a division there that will investigate not necessarily just UAP,
Yeah,
but things that normally would just be passed over by the FBI.
yeah,
So in that sense, I like it. I do like the fact that they said they kind of work with Arrow a little bit. That would be the thing that is cool.
yeah,
But one thing I don't like here
yeah,
is it seems like we're coming again, like it was said, Congress doesn't have, there are some things out there that don't have to report to Congress.
right, exactly. That's my issue. Yeah,
there are things, and I agree with that to an extent.
yeah,
but there should be someone in or around Congress, that just comes up and is like, is anyone also investigating these things? And you just get like a yes, not even a yes, just like that.
That's what they did. That's what they did. With the FAA did in New Jersey. It came. What part of that story? I think it came out that there was information that they were probably doing radiological scans with drones, and it was a military operation, and they just couldn't say anything.
Yeah,
So
I'm saying, get these groups, at least the ones that are investigating, in contact with each other. They don't have to share absolutely everything.
Yeah,
but just enough that it's like, we're not overlapping, we're not doing the same thing twice, and we get a better grip on like what is actually happening.
Yeah,
because some of these groups do have the ability to use better sensors than other groups.
Yes.
So that would be nice to have.
Yeah. And just going along with that line, FBI is one component of the government that is starting to realize what other functions in the government have already known for a long time and have been participating in, as in the UAP phenomenon. Apparently, some would interpret the UAP phenomenon as a very known factor in the military after you get through a certain point in the military, and now it's just kind of being revealed to the rest of the world. And to go along with that, just to put a neat little bow on all this, and it's what I suspected from before, is that Japan's defense ministry asked to launch Office on UFOs and Anomalies. Tokyo, Japan, defense ministry was urged to set up an office tasked with tackling UFOs at a meeting with a cross-party group of lawmakers on Friday. So this is just a quick article. Yeah,
it is a short article.
Yeah.
And again, I actually read a little ahead on this one.
Yeah.
Read the whole thing.
Yeah.
But what's confusing is it says it's wants to set up one.
Yeah.
But at the bottom, it kind of says like it's running now.
Yeah, and I think that's just like a translation thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure it's already running, but they're like trying to make it super official.
Yeah.
The group chaired by former defense minister Yasukazu Hamada of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party handed a proposal to the current defense chief describing such sightings, formerly referred to as unidentified anomalous phenomenon, or UAP, as realistic and a serious national security concerns. Our country has fallen behind in responding to UAP, while securing safety into territorial airspace and waters is an urgent matter, the group said, calling for the establishment of a Japanese version of the U.S. All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. The Pentagon office was founded in 2022 to lead UAP stuff. The lawmakers also proposed that a new office regularly report the progress of UAP investigations to Parliament and disclose information to the public, in addition to conducting scientific analysis of collected data and identifying potential threats. Defense Minister Jen Nakatani said, "We will make efforts to meet the expectations of the group, which was formed last year." Yeah, so this group is already active. And I think this just kind of puts another nail in the coffin of disclosure. Like, we have more countries. I think France is next. We have more countries coming out and just clarifying and confirming that they are also encountering these strange objects. Japan has had a long history with UFO sightings because of their nuclear events. They've had many UFO sightings around their nuclear reactors. UFOs are a very prominent thing in media like Godzilla, which a lot of nuke stuff in that. But they have had a lot of experience with this, and it's very interesting seeing other countries coming out and basically confirming this phenomenon is real. It's time to take it seriously. It's time to look into it. It's time to figure out what the fuck is going on here. And I think that's all. What do you got? That's it.
I would say that's it. I mean, it kind of wraps it up there. There is a lot of stuff going on, like these are all saying, but we don't have anything super definitive.
Right.
But we are trying to get the data.
That A10 video, though, with that orb, I think that one was pretty good.
Oh, no.
That A10 video was pretty good.
The thing is, some of those videos are pretty good.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that thing that we've talked about.
Right.
Where, what are you actually getting?
What are you going to get? We need to do a video on that, because this has been, I feel like, another one big speculation video, although it does feel like things are going in a very positive direction with all of this. Although something really suspicious just happened with the skiff. They had to reschedule the skiff again or something like that. But we're going to see how this turns out. It seems like we are going to get some sort of tangibility from this. Maybe that'll be the next episode. We'll go over some technology, some more new tech. Yeah. But that's what we're going to call it for tonight. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.